Lisa. Welcome to part 2 of my Yoga for Flexibility series. Today we will be doing yoga for center splits. And I also want to thank Dragonfly for this super cute outfit. I love the blue. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll be happy to hear what you have to say. We'll go ahead and begin, starting at the center front of our mat. And we're just going to take a few deep breaths here, shoulders away from the ears. Some really deep inhales and exhales to get the blood flowing. Just thank yourself for coming to your practice today and try and be present. Okay, with our feet together, toes and ankles touching as much as possible, shoulders back. Inhale, arms up overhead. Stretch all the way towards the ceiling. And exhale, forward fold. And go ahead and bend the knees a little bit, stretching the glutes and the hamstrings in your lower spine. Stay with your breath here. And inhale, arms up overhead. And exhale, back down. We'll do this a couple more times. Go ahead and walk it out a little bit. Stretching through those hamstring muscles and your glutes. And exhale, fold all the way down. Face comes to the shins, top of your head stretching towards the mat. Exhale and inhale up. And exhale back down to forward fold. Just keep walking it out. We really want to get these muscles warmed up before we get into our full stretches later. Just bend the knees a few times. And inhale, arms up overhead. And exhale to the side. And shake it out a little bit. We'll be moving into chair pose for our first part of the series. So inhale, arms up overhead. And part your hands, shoulder width apart, shoulders away from the ears. And then slowly sit back into your chair pose. And you should feel your muscles strengthening through your glutes and your thighs here. And we really want to do this to help maximize your flexibility later for your complementary muscles. So strengthening your glutes and your quads will help strengthen your hamstrings later on. So just think about that when you are doing your stretches. Your muscles work together to help one another, so we want to make sure to give them all some good attention. And just sit back a little bit further and release. Just shake it out a little bit and exhale, arms down. And we'll move into our one leg chair pose. Inhale. And go ahead and part your hands again. And exhale. And this is partially a balancing pose, which will definitely help your muscles, but it can be challenging, so just go at your own pace. We can start with the beginning. Slowly lift your right leg up, and you're going to place your right ankle on top of your left leg. You're welcome to stay here if this is the most stable that you feel, but if you feel like you can advance, just slowly sit back into your left leg. Arms are still up. And then you can bring your palms to the center of your heart, to prayer. And just sit back. You should feel a really good stretch in your right glute. And you're also strengthening your left quad and glute at the same time. And just stick with it a few more breaths. And exhale. And inhale, lift up. And slowly release. We'll move on to the left side. Inhale, arms up overhead. Palms come shoulder width apart, shoulders away from the ears. Again, just lift your left leg slowly. You can stay at any part of this pose that you like. Just go at your own pace. We're going to put our left ankle in front of our right knee and slowly sit back. Just feel that stretch. You can sit a little bit further with each breath. You're also strengthening through your core here. And one last breath. And release. Leg comes to the floor. Exhale. Go ahead and shake it out. And we'll move into eagle. So inhale. Arms up overhead. Exhale. Right leg below the left. And slip back slowly. Tuck your hips underneath and slowly lift your right leg over the left. You wrap it behind if you can. If not, you can just leave your right leg on top of your left and sit back further. Slowly press your arms towards the front wall. Make sure you're engaging your core here, and you can stare gently forward at the back of your forearms. Stay with your breath here. Should feel a really good stretch on the back of your shoulders. And you're going to feel some really good compression in your hips. And inhale, exhale, release. Moving to the left side. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, left leg underneath, or left arm underneath the right. Go ahead and sit back. Tuck your hips underneath. And slowly lift your left leg over the right. Twisting behind your right knee. And you can slowly lift and press your arms towards the front of the room. Stay with your breath here. Lower a little bit more. And release. And your arms and leg lower to the floor. Shake it out. We're going to move into Warrior One. So starting from the front of your mat, we'll just take a really big step back with our right leg. Your right toes will be pointing kind of diagonal towards the right wall. And you can slowly bend your left knee to come a little bit lower. So we're stretching the front of the right hip here, and you're also strengthening your left quad and glute, which will help with your stretching later. And you can inhale, arms up to the sky, looking gently between. Try not to relax in this pose. You'll be strengthening through the legs, so still pressing through your feet into the floor and making sure your muscles are engaged. Just a couple of breaths here. You can lower a little bit more if you like. And exhale, bring your palms to the floor, and we're going to lower your right knee to the floor into a lower lunge, and just press through the hip here. Make sure your right knee is above, or your left knee is above your left ankle, and you're stretching through that right hip. You can also lift the toes if you like to lunge that way, or go ahead and lower the knee, whatever's more comfortable for you. And if you'd like to advance, you can always scoot back a little bit further and elbows can come to the floor. It's whatever level you're at. Just go with what's comfortable. Challenge yourself, but not too much. And we'll just do one more breath here. And go ahead and press back up into Warrior One. And exhale, step forward. We'll move to the left side. So coming from the top of your mat, just take a giant step back with your left foot. Toes are diagonal towards the left wall. Make sure your hips are aligned. And inhale, arms up. Strengthening through both of your legs. All of your muscles are engaged. Just a few breaths here. Should feel a really good stretch in your left hip. And exhale. Palms come to the floor. And again, you can drop the left knee for your lunge, or you can stay raised on your toes here. It's up to you. If you stay raised on your toes, just move your right leg back a little bit more so you can stretch pretty good through that hip. But if not, just lower that knee and press through your left hip. Make sure your right knee is above your right ankle. And again, you can advance to all the way, elbows to the floor, which will deepen that stretch in your hip, or just go ahead and stay like this. Just a few more breaths. Exhale all of your air out and slowly press up back into Warrior One. And straighten that front leg, step forward, shake it out. We'll do a quick forward bend to stretch out our hamstrings and the back of our spine. So inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Just press up through your glutes to the ceiling. Lengthening through the spine, relaxing your neck. Exhale all of your air out. We're going to move our palms to the back of our heels for an even better hamstring stretch. So bend your knees as much as you need and make sure you have a good grip. Your head is reaching towards the floor. You'll slowly press your glutes up towards the ceiling. Again, go at your own pace. You should feel a good stretch through your hamstrings here. Stay with your breath. And one more breath. And bend your knees. Palms come to the floor and just shake it out. From here, you can exhale again and inhale all the way up. Exhale, arms down. We'll move into a low squat for a really good hip opening pose. It's also the beginning of crow, but we won't be going into the full crow. So your feet come about hip width distance apart. And we're going to just raise your arms up and slowly sit back. You can go even wider if you want. And then exhale, bring your palms to the mat. So your palms are in between your feet now. Keep your back as flat as possible. And you're going to slowly lift your heels. This can be kind of advanced, so you might feel unstable. Just go at your own pace, but you should feel a really good stretch in the hips. And if you feel comfortable, you can slowly raise your hands into prayer. And we'll just stay for a couple breaths here. Make sure you're strengthening through all of your muscles. You shouldn't feel like you're relaxing into any of them. You don't want to injure your joints. And one last breath. And bring your palms back to the mat. Slowly lower your heels and just kind of shake it out from side to side. From here, we'll come into a seated pose. So just slowly sit back. Coming from the center of our mat in a seated position, we'll be moving into a seated forward bend first with our legs crossed. We really want to stretch out those glutes. So I'll give you a couple of different options depending on your comfortability, and we'll just start with our legs crossed. Your right leg is in front of the other, and you can move them as close together as possible. Or if you are comfortable moving them one on top of the other, we can also do that. So it just depends on what you're comfortable with. I'll be moving forward from this position, so just inhale, lengthening through the spine. My right leg is on top of my left, pretty much at directly on top of each other. And exhale and slowly move forward with a flat back. You can use your hands to walk towards the front of your mat. Just keep your spine aligned and straight. And you should feel a really good stretch through your glutes here. Mostly on the right, but you'll feel a little on your left side as well. And to slowly move forward with each breath. You can gently look down at your mat. Just one more breath. And slowly walk back up. Try and raise with a flat back, and we'll switch to the left side. So your left leg will either be in front of your right or it can be placed on top of your right leg. Inhale, lengthening through the spine. And exhale, lean forward. And just use your palms to slowly walk forward. And with each exhale, you can move a little bit towards the front of your mat. Shoulders are away from the ears. And gently look down at your mat. You should feel a really good stretch on the left glute now. Just keep your core engaged. A couple more breaths here. And release. Slowly walk back up, raising with a flat back. And you can gently move your legs out in front of you. And go ahead and bend your knees up towards your stomach. We'll move to the full seated forward bend. So from the center of your mat, you're going to have your feet together, and you can grab your big toes with your pointer and middle finger. So just gently grab your toes. Also try and keep a flat back in this pose. And we'll just slowly walk our feet forward. And go at your own pace. It's okay to keep your knees bent. But what we'll be doing is pushing our heels towards the front of the mat. And just make sure you keep a flat back. So that's the most important part. We're strengthening all the muscles because you are flexing and pushing while still keeping a little bit of tension there. So we're protecting the joints, but we also want to protect our spine and not push our muscles too far. So just stay with your breath. And gently press your heels to the front of the mat. Sticking with a flat back. Your core is engaged. You should feel a really good stretch in your hamstrings right now. And release. Just gently let go. And you can straighten the legs and just kind of shake them out a little bit. And we'll move into Pigeon to stretch out the front of the hips. Just swing your legs around, coming to all fours. Gently move your right knee towards the front of the mat and stretch your left leg towards the back. Your right heel and ankle are in front of your left hip. You should feel a really good stretch through the front of the left hip. And if you would like to deepen the stretch, you can come into Proud Pigeon, moving your arms and hands behind your back. You can either start in reverse prayer or gather your fingers together and lift up. Just keep breathing here. One more breath. Slowly release, bringing your palms back to the mat. And press through your left heel. Come onto that knee and bring your right leg to meet the left. Still on all fours, we'll bring the left knee towards the front of the mat this time. And go ahead and push that right leg back into Pigeon. And just stretch through the right hip now. And if you'd like, you can advance into Proud Pigeon. So moving your hands behind you in reverse prayer, or gathering your hands together and pulling your shoulders back. Lifting your heart toward the ceiling. Stay with your breath here. And slowly release. Bringing your palms to the mat. Stretching through that hip a little bit more. And go ahead and press up onto your right knee. Bringing your left knee back to meet the right. And we just do a little cat-cow here to stretch the spine. Inhale up. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And from here, I'm going to move your knees about hip width distance apart. And we're going to move into a wide-legged child pose. So you can move your knees back even further if you like. Just go at your own pace and your own strength and flexibility. And we're going to slowly press back into your hips to stretch through the front here. And just bring your forehead to the mat. And last breath. And slowly release. Bring your palms back underneath. Your knees come back together. And then slowly come into a seated position. And we'll move into the full center splits now. Coming from the center of your mat, you can still stay facing this direction. I am going to turn the other direction so that most of my legs are on the mat. Just still staying in the center. And go ahead and bring your legs out wide as is comfortable for you. And your feet are going to stay flexed. You can always just push your glutes a little bit forward to widen the pose a little bit more. And you should feel a stretch on the inside of your legs. And just try and stick with a flat back and lengthen up as much as possible. We're going to inhale and your arms up overhead. And exhale, and just bring your left arm towards the right leg. Just feel a good stretch in the spine and your right leg right now. And just a couple of breaths here. And then exhale all the way up. And inhale, arms up overhead, and exhale, twisting to the left side. Just gently look up towards the ceiling, make sure your feet are flexed. And exhale, lift up. And inhale. We'll move to the center now. And exhale. You can put your palms on the floor and just gently walk forward as much as possible with a flat back. You should feel a stretch no matter where you're at in this pose. And the more you stick with it, the further you will get. So just hang in there. You've gotten this far. You're doing great. So just slowly walk your hands forward if you would like to advance, and if not, just breathe where you are. Make sure your core is still engaged, and you can go ahead and point your toes and walk a little bit more, and try and keep a flat back here. Don't forget. And last breath. And release. Slowly press back up. And bring your legs to center. You can come to just a seated position or come to your knees. And from a seated position, just take a few deep breaths. Thank yourself for coming to your practice today and being present. relaxing all of the tension out. And thank you for being with me in part 2 of my Yoga for Flexibility series. There will be 2 other parts, so please subscribe to join in. Again, I am Lisa. Check out my website at lisahusberg.com. I'll see you next time.